If you are struggling in your walk with God and living for God, this message is for you. If you are struggling to live for God, stop trying. You may be like, what do you mean by that? I'm going to explain this to you. In John 14, verse 6, it says, Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes through the Father except through me. So you cannot do it on your own. Jesus is the way. He is the truth. He is the life. And yes, you find that salvation. Yes, you find that in Him. But you can't do it in your own strength. He is the way. He's the truth. He's the life. He provides life. He provides truth. He provides the way for us. But we have to let go of doing it in our own strength and give God the pen. Let God be our strength. Let God enable us and empower us by His grace to live for Him. Without God, it's hard to find purpose in life in this world. And God will help us find our calling and our purpose of being born into this world, because you were created with a purpose. And you were not intended to do it alone. God said in Genesis, it's not good for man to be alone. And yes, God was talking about relationships, but God honestly did not intend for us to be alone. We weren't meant to do this walk alone. We weren't meant to live for God alone and in our own strength. We were meant to do it with God and worship Him. We were meant to praise and worship something. We were meant to be focused on someone, and that someone is God. See, the reason a lot of times people have struggles, depression, and financial struggles is most of the time because they haven't gave God the pen for their life. And you haven't let God be your provider. You haven't let God be your rock. You haven't let God's will work in your life and let Him be Lord over your life. But the Bible does say that good and bad fall on the just and the unjust, the godly and the ungodly. So bad things will come your way. But you can give God the pen and be sure that He will write your story, and that He can write a better story than you can even write. And that He can provide where you can't, where it's like, I can't do it myself. You can trust and know that God will meet you where you're at, and His grace and power will enable you to do His will, to live for Him. See, making Jesus Lord is putting Him higher than anything in your life, your purpose, your will, your own desires. See, in Philippians 4 verse 12, it says, I know how to be abased, and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things I have learned both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So what Paul's saying is, bro, I've been through the struggles. I've been through the hardships of life. I've been through the pain. But God has provided for me. God has been my strength. God has been my rock. And He has upholded me. He has strengthened me. He has kept me from falling. He's kept me from stumbling. And that even when I fall short, His grace is sufficient. His grace is sufficient in my weakness. For when I am weak, then God is strong. Paul learned that lesson through trials. Paul learned that lesson through hardships of life. And so sometimes you're going to go through hardships of life. The good and bad is going to fall on the just and the unjust. But you have a hope. You have a hope that God is your provider. You have a hope that God is your rock. And that stress that's on your plate, you can give that to God and know that He is a good Father and that He provides good gifts and that He loves you and that He cares for you. But I'm just asking you today, give God the pen. Stop trying to do it in your own strength.